This is the Team Objection podcast for May 13th, 2021, episode 483. The people who are watching this on YouTube, which is, as always, the preferred way to go consuming this podcast, may see something is amiss right from the start. Let me explain. Cody is here. If you've been following our NHL playthroughs, and you haven't been, you've seen him, as well as the rest of us, playing that, plus FIFA back in the day. So he's been a recent addition on the YouTube side. Now we're bringing him in for the podcast. He didn't really ask to be. I just did it unprovoked, and now he's here. There's a theme to this episode, but nobody knows what it is but me.
Milestone episode to bring Cody on. Episode 483.
Just throw him to the wolves, get him out of the ocean, and see what happens.
Cody actually brought this up when he came on. He said he hit it right on the head that he's auditioning for your job, Dave.
That, it's been 10 years now that we've been doing this, and I haven't been replaced yet.
Well, you were out auditioned by Michelle. That lasted for a little bit.
And he was having a kid.
They're like, you can come back. Like, I guess that's fine.
To be fair, years ago, we tried to make it this event when I missed one episode because I got married. One episode, mind you, because I got married.
And that was it. We're like, he's not committed.
Yep, I'm dead. And then I had to miss some because I had children, and yet I have 3 children now, and I'm still here. I'm
seeing a pattern of you just prioritizing other things than us.
Literally, the only thing that's taking me away from the show is my family. Literally family.
Well, this is not your family?
We're your family too, Dave. And you know who hasn't missed an episode? This guy.
Because
you know why? Because when I can't make it, we cancel the fucking show. That's why. So, for the viewer who doesn't know, or the listener, who Cody is, that could be a problem, right? I mean, he used to work with me. He's a friend of ours now. He's got good opinions about stuff, but you might need an introduction. And what better way to introduce Cody and also make Dave and Shaun suffer than by bringing back a segment that Michelle and I ran a couple of times about 3 or 4 years ago, which is sifting through mediocre Tumblr questionnaires.
Oh, God.
I knew it as soon as you said that.
I didn't know it. I thought it was going to be Marry, Football, Kill, and I was like, interesting.
I thought about bringing back any number of old segments, and this one seemed like the best one as far as an introductory thing. So on the screen, you'll notice I have a D100. We're just going to roll that and then see what questions it comes up with, answer them as truthfully as you can without getting yourself fired from your respective line of work.
I was born for this.
And we'll see how it goes.
No.
Michelle and I actually rolled dice, but it seemed easier with 4 of us just to go through it.
We used to do a segment, Cody, where we'd react to articles. And I actually miss that because it's just boom, boom, boom. It's fun.
We called it headlines.
We did. It was very unique.
Who came up with that one?
It wasn't me because I would have put buzzer in it somehow. So 28.
The buzz. All right, so we're gonna roll. That was just the placeholder. We're gonna roll. It's gonna be 1 through 100. And we're gonna see what it is.
Okay.
19. All right, let me scroll to 19. That's not 19. That was my test one.
It looks like 4.
It does look like 4. We'll get to 19. No
spoilers.
Here we go. Well, I'll get the hang of this. I only tested it a little bit. There we go. Number 19 is, where was your favorite place to go when you were a little kid?
I'm supposed to answer this immediately.
Well, anybody can jump in if they're really passionate about a subject.
Disneyland.
That's a stupid
Where's my favorite place to go as a little kid? Disneyland. Where's my favorite place to go now? Disneyland. Easy.
He's right, and that's my answer as well, because nothing's better. Like, I don't know, maybe it's because Cody grew up in California, and so maybe he doesn't have the magic of, like, traveling to go somewhere like that. But, like, hearing that we're going to Disneyland this week, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. We're going to Disneyland, and I was pretty happy about it. And then we'd go to the beach included. Like, we'd take a day to go to the beach. It was fantastic.
So I have to defend my upbringing in California and having
Disneyland,
you have
to explain why
Disneyland, beaches, and all that type of stuff. I guess you're probably right. I guess it's just being spoiled because the beach is right there. It's like a 5-minute walk, and Disneyland's like an hour-and-a-half drive. So that's
Cody's
fair.
like Disneyland's where the degenerates go.
That's where the tourists go. I mean, that's not really California. I think I have a pretty sentimental answer to this, so maybe it's not as fun.
Well, what is it? We'll see, and then we'll judge you.
Oh, great. So when I was a little kid, my grandfather, who I was really close with, had a cabin in Idaho. And so for a couple of summers, I got to go out and spend like a couple weeks there. So that's probably my answer. It was like a cabin right on a fork of the Snake River. So it was basically like go hang out in the cabin and watch baseball during the summer and then go float on the river like during the afternoon and then go fishing and catch things for dinner.
That actually sounds cool. Well, and plus, I can't say anything because when you started leading with like when I was young and my grandfather's like, okay, well, I can't.
It was just his cabin.
I can't blast you for that.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like that was. I mean, that sounds like a really like 70-year-old retired man type of thing to enjoy. But I guess I was 11 and I did so.
I mean, nothing about what you said sounds bad. Like it sounds like just
you have an old soul. You have an old soul.
I think that probably is fair. I guess you spend enough time with because like my grandfather obviously was a coach for me in a bunch of sports. Spend enough time with someone who's like 60, when you're younger and they're kind of you're hanging around them a lot. I guess you become a 60-year-old when you're 10.
Did you guys play like what's that game that you like euchre? Did you guys do like euchre together? Like some riveting games of like
no, it's not
one with pennies.
Shit. It's
Tripoli. Tripoli, yeah.
I've never heard of these things, so
I've never heard Tripoli.
Yeah. So mine's sentimental too. Mine was summers in Colorado because when I was going through the divorce, my grandparents and my aunts my aunt at the time in Colorado made it a point of trying to give me something to look forward to those summers. Like that 7 to 9 range was especially tough. And every summer it was like, all right, you're going to drive up there. It's a big road trip. And then when you're there, like sometimes my aunt would let me put a tent up in the garage and I'd stay in there instead of like in my own bedroom for some reason. And it was like, oh, wow, I get like my own space. We put a TV in it, which, in the 90s was kind of a big deal. It was a little 12, 14-inch black and white piece of shit, but I could have my own TV and I had my own space and it was all neat. So it was like a wonderful distraction. That was probably it. I would have maybe said Disneyland, but I never really went. I went before I was too young to remember, and then when I was like 18. So I kind of missed the core Disneyland ages. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't fun when I was 18, but I didn't get the magical years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
when I used to set out for Disneyland, I had like a map. I like circle places and like destination. I would say how many times I rode on the rides. I did a thing where it was like a Yu-Gi-Oh fucking like arena, and so like the ride would be like where we would like duel. I was very in my imagination in Disneyland. It was great for that. Just me and my mom, two brave souls tackling Disneyland together. That was pretty good though. No one did anything like weird or it was all like really nice, like wholesome answers.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite place the kid was the dentist. Like
what? Yeah, or like my creepy uncle's bedroom. Like there was nothing like bad.
I liked when I got to go outside.
Like my alternative answer was actually like Dodger Stadium because like that's where I went to more baseball games than I did any other sport growing up, which is probably why that's a sport that I'm unfortunately like stuck cheering for all the time. Because I got taken to games there all the time because it was so cheap and easy to go there more than anything.
It's amazing as a quick tangent how core those experiences are to like shaping the rest of your life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm into basketball now because that's what was like on in my house. That's what my dad really liked. And that's why I can't get into baseball. If baseball had been a part of my childhood, maybe I'd be a huge baseball fan. But like trying to get into it now without that fundamental period, like I can't do it.
Tough sell.
I always said if I was born 10 years later and the Diamondbacks would have came when I was 3 and won the World Series when I was 6, I would have been much more into baseball growing up.
And I was a decent age for that still, and even then it slipped away.
Yeah.
What was I when they won the World Series? Like 17?
16.
Well, I mean, we were oldish, comparatively speaking, when they were even like a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came in 98, so we were 13.
Yep.
Like
Too
10,
late.
13.
All right, Wheel of Morality, turn. 73. Yeah, sure, it's fine. Make me scroll across the whole damn thing.
You did this to yourself.
It's not even always on top anymore, so it's going to be awkward for everybody who's not named Dave. Well, Dave can't see, and neither can the viewers right now. They just see us. God damn it, I held you for a half second so you'd be centered.
Would you ever use an... Oh, okay.
Would you ever use an online dating service?
Shaun should start.
I mean, these days, I would... If Maisie died, I'd mourn for like a few days or whatever. The customary mourning period.
Yeah.
Is 3 days.
And then if she made me swear to never be in another relationship, then, that would be something I'd have to cross.
She would haunt your ass so
that
bad.
bridge I'd have to cross at a later date. If I was totally single and I was trying to date in this today, well, okay, today, but like 2 years ago before COVID, I would have totally used a dating service. Now, with COVID on top of it, that just complicates everything. But
It complicates it and makes it more impossible to not use, or it complicates it in like,
Well, it's just like tough because you're like, yeah,
You
I
wanna
want
be
to go
around
on
a
a date, but
random
like
stranger.
we're gonna need to spend the first 6 months over Stu. I don't know.
Funny story. I actually did use an online dating service. It's how I met my wife, which happened way before it was popular and when only fucking weirdos used online dating services.
That was just MySpace, Dave.
To be fair, I think that's part of the genesis of this question. This poll was back from 2012.
Wow.
So this is from a time when I don't think it was quite as accepted as now, or as accessible. I mean, with apps and whatnot, there's a ton to choose from now.
It's funny. I don't think. I mean, if I haven't seen the stats on it, but I imagine a more than majority of new relationships start via online dating services now because of apps, because of something like Tinder, because of something like Hinge, Bumble, whatever is out there right now.
Dave sure knows a lot of them for being married already.
Heard about
Dave
them,
is a man of the world.
Mm-hmm. And I would say,
honestly,
to the COVID point, I'm not going to give Dave a chance to defend himself. You can hold that L. To the COVID point, now, if anything, it would seem more acceptable because, first of all, you're not going to a lot of places with random people or a lot of people, right? The bar hopping scene, if you're not in Phoenix, is not exactly robust. But secondly, it is a chance to meet up and get to know somebody before you dive into an in-person interaction where you might be like, hey, first of all, we can get to know each other. And second of all, have you been vaccinated? Let me know. Hit me up.
Send me your card.
Yeah.
Show me your card, baby.
Oh shit!
It's just on you.
That's-
Mine's in
Yeah,
my
you just
car.
hold
You
it
you're
around
not
with
supposed
you.
to share that.
Someone's screen
Someone's gonna
capping that,
freeze frame
printing
and
it, laminating it.
Well, that's okay.
and they're going to assume Dave's identity.
Your identity used to be secret.
I mean, my answer
showed
is simple.
you.
I have, and I have. I mean, so yeah, like it's pretty commonplace, especially like in Flagstaff of all places. I think it's relatively helpful.
How does an adult like meet people? Like because
Yeah.
no one does the bars before even COVID. Who really does the bar scene? Like not very many people.
Other than like
So
the
it's-
college age, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like where you work. If you happen to do some extracurricular, like which is not the name for that, but like you go do a sport or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like with the hours that I carried while I was working with Chris, like your hours are
Yeah.
very weird. So like we basically don't have a lot of social lives outside of our job, so it's pretty much necessary.
Join a writing group. Like what the fuck?
The fuck is a writing group?
You
With
know?
the rights.
Yeah,
You just get together in a room and write
yeah,
down
like a
your-
reading group, like a book club.
Very
Why did you
boring.
call it a
That's what it
writing
is.
Because that's the thing too. You have a book club, writing club,
Same thing.
Yeah, it's all fine.
horse club,
Podcast club. Same
basketball club.
Club Sandwich Club.
Yes.
I love
22.
hearing Shaun being flustered.
Sure, let's go all the way back up to 22. Why not? Sounds fun.
Thing. You're the one that chose to do it this way.
22. I thought it was kind of cool looking. But now I can't really send this one, can I?
Ooh.
That's close enough. 22 is, do you like the type of music your parents listen to? And do your parents like the type of music you listen to?
Ooh.
Do I like the type of a lot of it? Yes, actually, and a part of it is because they listen to it and I was exposed to it. So like the embarrassing ones for this list, like Backstreet Boys, way into Celine Dion is a big one. Kenny Rogers is dope. So like some of those, and but like even nowadays they do some country, and like some country's okay. Absolutely no, they do not like the type of music I listen to. My dad he'd be like, what is this? It just sounds like loud noise.
I mean, building from Sean's point, like my mom listened to mostly country music, and so that's what I grew up on. So I don't hate it, I think, the same way a lot of other people really, really hate it. Like I've listened to Kenny Chesney and Garth Brooks and Brooks and Dunn
Yep.
and like all that for years. I don't have any problem with it. I went to the Garth Brooks concert in Phoenix a couple of years ago because I was like, it was fun. And it was actually really fun. It's not my favorite type of music. On the flip side of that, probably not the stuff I listen to now. In high school, it was pretty funny since my mom drove me and all my friends around a lot. She was driving us like to and from football practice and stuff like that. So we basically hijacked the stereo most of the time and turned on a ton of rap, which was pretty funny for my very white mother to be listening to rap music constantly. But she caught on to it. It's not like it was her favorite thing, but she tolerated it enough to, I guess, placate all of us wanting to listen to it.
I don't know if I like the music I like to listen to. I'm weird with music, and when you throw my parents into the mix, my dad is a musician and tries to listen to all sorts of music out there. So I don't even know if I can name the type of music my dad likes to listen to. And then the type of music I like to listen to is whatever song sounds good. So like lately I've been listening to like a bunch of music from Persona 5 or Hamilton or something like that. Popular music, genre of music, I can't even name what I actually like. So I don't know if I can answer this properly.
Well, then you fail. You've been eliminated from the challenge. We'll see you next episode.
We're going to delete your bar from the thing.
Yeah, we can just be like, and he's gone. But when I do that, it takes away his audio, so that's really bad. I was pretty shaped by my parents' music taste, which is odd considering they split up. But like a lot of the stuff my mom listened to was like ABBA, which I do still like. She liked some country. That was more of my stepdad's thing. But I don't. It didn't really stick. But I don't mind country. It's kind of like you guys, where I'm like, there's some songs I do like, and most of them I'm like, I don't have this deep seething hatred for it. In reverse, I often end up playing the stuff that I like that still overlaps with what they liked growing up. So with my dad, I might play like Steely Dan or Chicago. And with my mom, I'm not going to put on something like hardcore rap. I'm going to stick to the part of my playlist that's more stuff that she listened to. My dad actually, weirdly enough, likes a lot of like the meme songs that I have that are like, like the Space Jam and Kyle's Theme crossover and Banana Phone and all sorts of dumb shit. He likes that stuff quite a bit. And my mom does not. So there's definitely some overlap that does not exist. But for the most part, it's pretty congruent.
There's an exception. My dad's music. Because sometimes it's like Lionel Richie, and you're like, okay. And then sometimes it's like old-time Lebanese music. And that is like, what? I don't even know what this instrument is. I legitimately don't. I don't know what it's like a horn or something.
That sounds
like,
really
it's really weird.
Interesting. I want to hear it.
I will try to find it, and it's like in all their music, it's like the same instrument. And to me, all their music sounds the exact same. Now I'm sure it's because I don't understand the lyrics as part of it, but it's like, don't you get some like variety? He'll put on like a tape, and I'm like, this is one song that's been playing for the last 40 minutes. And he's like, no, it's like a many different songs. Okay, Dad. Whatever, it sucks.
Whatever.
Sure.
Your music sucks, Dad. I hate your culture. Just kidding.
All right, what do we got? We are rolling, and hey, it's a nearby one. 16. Can money buy happiness?
Yes.
It
can buy me things that make me happy and help me be happier.
It can buy you security, is what I would say more so. To be happy, you need to be secure. Shaun, be patient.
In the formula of happiness, money is like part of that like equation. So it's not like money equals happiness, but it's like money in the parentheses, like next to like a times something else. You know.
Did you create a happiness equation?
Yeah, well, I'm on the way, I think. Give me a little bit of time, but you know, like self-worth is probably in there.
Because it can't be enough on its own. We've seen that. I mean, there's plenty of rich people that are still miserable in some way or another because they don't have a thing that they're missing, and money can't buy it, whether that's love or whatever the hell else, right? But I do think it's at least part of the equation, yeah. Because like Cody said, it's like if I wanted a PS5 and that was going to make me happy and I couldn't buy it, that's not to say I couldn't find happiness elsewhere, but it would be one thing I'd be like, that would be cool, and I don't have it, so I feel like I would,
I would say
regret.
It's not sustained happiness. Like you can like buy some, like you can have money and then like buy things here and there that would like boost it a little bit.
Yeah, escapism or whatever.
Yeah, that's probably good. Right?
I mean, I gotta tell you, not having to worry about like health insurance and like living paycheck to paycheck is a huge component of my happiness level. So
the security. Yep.
And there are people who are having tough times and making ends meet who are still happy to some extent. No question. Like it's not like it has to be that way, but it helps, I think. I think it's hard to argue it doesn't.
I think if you have no money and you're like, I'm perfectly happy, it's like, no, you're lying. That's not true.
You're not eating, you're not happy, I would say.
They're like, I'm rich in faith. I'm like, that's great, but that doesn't mean you're happy.
That is not a currency. And also, if I give you a jet ski, I bet you're going to have a blast.
Yeah.
All right, an easy one, but what the hell? 11. I like this.
So now
Stay
it's just
close.
rolling right back up?
Yeah, I guess. Hey, it's supposed to be random. I don't know. You've got the TV on, but you're not really watching. What channel is the TV on? Now, this is a little weird given the age of streaming and whatnot, but still, even if that's one of your answers, like, what streaming service would you most likely go to? Or, like, what's your background when you're not really paying attention to a show?
Are we all going to have the same answer is going to be my question?
I don't think
No.
so.
I don't
You're all thinking too much now for me to think that was true, but my assumption was just like ESPN or something sports related on the background.
That's not-
That's my answer.
Not at all.
In 2012, that might have been my answer, but not anymore. Clearly, the answer is it's got to be youtube.com/objection network. That's what's on in the background.
Professional.
He's trying
right
to save
there.
his job.
I'm turning off
Professional.
Dave's camera again.
Yeah, he's trying to save his job.
There was a time when it might have been ESPN. There was even a time when I had ESPN on when I was going to sleep. There was a weird, like, 2-year span when I was a teenager where I put the TV on at night and I just let SportsCenter loop. But that was also a different era of SportsCenter. Like, one would argue maybe the golden era. Nowadays, if I was to have something on, I don't really do this a ton, but it would probably be like Game Show Network. That's an easy one to fade in and out of because if I want to pay attention to it when something important's happening, great. And if it's dumb and it's like Family Feud's 7th consecutive episode, it can be background noise and not pay attention to it.
In Cody's case, when someone's actually succeeding in Deal or No Deal, tune out.
No
Tune
attention. When they're suffering tremendously, rapt attention.
I see them like the case is going good. No, checking out.
Nope.
Second $1 million hits, I'm back in.
So, the date of this question is rough because what channel is it on? I think more so like what show is it on,
Yeah.
and probably if I'm just not really watching, it's gonna be something like The Simpsons or Bob's Burgers or something that I've seen before, and I can just like jump in and out, and even if I walk away, I can walk back and be like, oh yeah, I remember this part of the scene, and just slide in and out of.
Yeah, comedies work well for that. Scrubs or another show like that is another one I'd put on. It's just like, oh, I need something in the background while I'm doing laundry or something.
Yep.
If I'm telling the truth, though, this does not apply to me. If I'm being really honest, I have never had the TV on when I'm not watching TV because if I'm not watching it, it's just distracting for the other thing that I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Similar.
But I'm weird. I know a lot of people like Maisie has The Office on like all the time.
Yeah, it's the opposite. Whenever having worked from home for so long now, I guess at the paper, like it's probably like TBS or Comedy Central because those are like the syndicated like shows. So as long as it's rolling through like The Office or Parks and Rec or like even Friends and Scrubs and stuff like that, it's just like repetition of stuff I know. So it's like I don't know why it helps me work better, but it does because I know that people do that for like music. Like they work better when music's going on. I work better when like I know the joke that's coming up on the show, as sadistic as that probably sounds. It just helps me work better.
I definitely work better on things like household chores or mowing the lawn, like when I have music or a podcast on. Like if I'm doing the dishes or something like that, I actually I was joking when I was plugging, but I actually do like to have some of our videos on because I kind of know some of the jokes, Cody, like you said, because we've recorded them. Some of our FIFA videos or NHL videos I actually like having on and listen to and kind of half watch while I'm doing the dishes because it's comforting for some reason, and it takes my mind off the fact that dishes are really boring.
Yeah.
I think TV on I associate with like depression. I feel like I'm in like the doldrums. Like I feel like exasperated. I associate it with like those Saturdays when I was just like so bored and I had nothing to do and the TV was on, but there was nothing actually of value there. And I just feel it just depresses me. It's off if I can't watch it.
I'm depressed, according to Shaun.
Yeah.
Cody,
Well,
I mean, I'm just like my heart goes out to him. I empathize. He needs some help.
At
Cody's
least
basically dying.
This is a call
Yeah.
for help.
a plea. At least now we have a lot more control over this as consumers because, there were times back in the day where you might just flip through channels and settle on something. You're like, well, I guess this is okay. It's what's on, right? Like I went through the 50 channels and this is the best I can do. So it's just like whatever. Now I'm kind of with Shaun that I don't really do this anymore. Now it's targeted. I either watch something or it's not on.
Here's a bonus question. TV on at night.
No,
No.
not anymore.
Absolutely not. And here's okay. Some personal. I was at a lady friend's house one time, and she falls asleep at the time with the TV on, and I can't. I will hone in on whatever sound anything is. So if there's like music playing, if the TV is on, I cannot turn my brain off. So I'm sitting there. It's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I can't move, and I can't turn it off, and I don't even know what's on the TV. It's horrible.
We have horror stories about Denver Dave because he was a TV on kind of guy, and like having the menu from the DVD of The Hangover looping for 8 fucking hours, and
Yeah.
it's like that's not even a show. That's not even the movie. It wasn't the movie looping for 8 hours, which would be bad enough. It's the menu that shows the same like 2 30-second clips. I don't know. I mean, I guess if it all becomes the same noise, it can be like a noise machine, right? Where it's like a babbling brook, and maybe you hear the looping point, and maybe you don't. But good lord, I don't get it. Props to you if you can, I guess.
I've gone back and forth. I have had it on sometimes, and some days I won't. It depends on, I don't know why. Sometimes it's just accidental. I fall asleep, but it's still on.
Cody, I don't know if you know, I'm complete
no.
deprivation. I'm complete I cover earplugs. I have to be totally tuned out. Do you believe in God? Wow, what a segue.
Yeah,
nice.
That's number 26. We also could group veto questions. There's a couple on here that I'm definitely going to skip. Like this one that's Tumblr specific that we might as well just throw in the garbage, but we can tackle it if you guys want. Up to you.
I'm good.
All right.
I'm fine with it. A God, I don't know. The Christian God is, I think, in man's image interpretation of something we don't understand. So how's that? So is there some sort of things we don't understand in the universe, whether that be a God or some other dimensional plane of something else? I don't know. So do I believe in it?
What do you believe
Yes.
in?
I don't know, to be honest. Whether that's, I mean, the way, like the people who take the Bible literally, I don't think that's the proper interpretation. I think that's a book was written by humans, and that's people trying to interpret things they don't understand. So
We're so
that's
similar
not what
in
I
that
believe
respect. You're really
What's
killing your GCU application right now, though. They're going to be like, you want a job here? I'm reading from a podcast you did in 2021. Cody?
I mean, I'm pretty much on the same board. I mean, with Dave, like I didn't grow up ever going to church, so that never really like was a thing for me or anyone in my family. So like, I wouldn't say I actively like don't believe in God or like dissuade people from it, but I don't really live in like fear of having to make sure I go about things like just don't be an asshole for the most part.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to be all right in my life, but I wouldn't like attack someone who would but like believe in it and be like, well, here's why I'm going to prove you wrong. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I'm in a weird place these days because I think some kind of higher power, yes. There is a lot that goes on that I think is kind of too much to be coincidental. Like the confluence of things that would have to happen to put life on this planet and only this planet. And I don't know. There's a lot to be said about it. I don't really mind faith overall, except for people that are overzealous. It's not really a big aspect of my life these days. A God in particular, I mean, I guess, but it's not what it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like how a lot of our most hateful groups are religious groups. Like, that's not great. But this is not that question. This is just, do I believe in God? And I'm kind of, it's complicated for me. I'm a little bit bummed out to say, like, I don't really know anymore because I want to say a very similar answer to like Dave. Like, yeah, like I'd like to believe that there is like a higher power we probably like don't understand, but I find myself like in the back of my mind more and more being like, yeah, like on it, probably not. And like almost like fighting that because I want to believe that there's something, but I'm having a harder and harder time justifying that. So
deep subject.
Bummer.
No
for
follow
y'all.
up.
What's the transition going to be now?
Yeah, Cody's like, yeah, the
Let's
follow-up
go.
is what's the next question?
candy?
Boobs or butts? That's the next one.
84. If you take precautions to stay safe, do you ultimately act more recklessly? And my answer to this, while you guys think about it, is no.
No.
If I'm
actually,
going to take the time to make precautions and not just jump into a situation, then usually I'm going to take that measured approach.
I feel like I need an example. Like, what is a scenario? Because they must be referring to something.
I think it's like, how do I word this? It's like if you got the COVID vaccine and then went and started doing everything you could possibly do outdoors with people. That's a more modern recent example, but like, yeah.
You jumped right into like regular 2019 life.
You're like, I'm going to wear a condom, so I'm going to fuck 8 different girls tonight.
that's
well,
literally the example that came to my head. And I was like, Cody's not going to like if I go there because he's chaste. So.
He's very religious, as we just found out, and he's not going to like that answer.
I think me at 17 would say like, yeah, I totally act more recklessly because you're just making an excuse. Well, I took some precautions, so now I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Well, I don't know. That's like I put a seatbelt on, so I'm gonna drive 100.
Yeah.
I just had that thought too. You
Right,
guys
or
are
like,
reading my
I'm wearing a helmet, so I'm going to jump this motorcycle over the Grand Canyon.
I think 17-year-old me would be like, well, fuck it. I got a car. I got a seatbelt on. Let's just drive 120. What do I care? I'm pretty sure I would have said that at 17. I'm not going to say that now.
No.
I would agree with you that I acted more recklessly when I was not necessarily taking a bunch of precautions to stay safe. So now that I take, if that makes sense, I
Yeah.
wasn't worried
Yeah.
about safety at all. So like, yeah, I'll drive my car 140 down to the river. That was a bad idea, but now I put on a seatbelt and I drive like 70.
Because you have a job, and if you get hurt, now you have like medical bills you have to pay for, and a job that you might like you can't work and make money anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, it is a little puzzling, but I think when you think about it in a little greater detail, you realize there's probably somebody in each of our lives that we know that is like,
100%.
I have done this measure, therefore I don't have to care about the rest of this anymore.
Yeah.
Like I did this thing, so now I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of us fit.
I think I've seen that
description.
recently too. So
I mean, like I
14.
skydived, but like I didn't
But
just like grab a, I don't know, plastic bag and jump out of a plane. Like I did research and.
this will be a quick one. Have you ever read the missed connections on Craigslist? Have you ever posted one or wanted to?
I don't know what that
Yes.
is.
I have read them. I've
I
never
I
read-
posted one.
I don't know what that is.
There was one time I was in Disneyland and there was like the girl in my dreams was there, and I was like, this is
Daisy
gonna
was
be
there?
crazy. She's wearing like polka dots or something. I was like, I saw you and I was in Disneyland and you were wearing polka dots and
Was it Minnie Mouse?
no,
I-
it didn't. It
Okay.
ended up amounting to nothing, which I'm sure you'd be
Except
surprised
for
to
he went to
hear.
his favorite place on earth.
Yes. Which is part of why I was the girl over his dreams, because
Yeah, I was like,
she
you're
was
in
there.
Disneyland. I'm in Disneyland.
We're simpatico.
Soulmates.
Yeah. So Cody, this was a section on Craigslist back in the day. You could post and be like, I was riding the subway wearing a Phoenix Sun shirt. You were wearing a New York Knicks shirt. I missed you.
Our
Call
eyes
me.
crossed. It felt
Yeah.
like there was a spark.
This is a way to
If you
murder
see
people.
this, tell me the 6 digits on my license plate so I know it's you. It was a very like
There's-
specific type of post. I don't feel like it almost ever worked. It did make for some entertaining reads sometimes.
There was like one time it worked because it like a relationship started and it blew up on like, I don't know, social media. But
Mhm.
Was
that
there an equal number of murders that it resulted in?
Probably, but we don't find out about
we
those
don't- we're
most
not
of the
hearing
time.
About that. They're in someone's basement.
Who knows? All I know is it was a weird time. I don't even think Craigslist exists anymore.
It does.
does.
I think
but-
it does.
Yeah, it killed our classifieds pages, so it still
It did.
exists. It's just not nearly as trafficked as it once was. I'm sure it still does big numbers, just not as much as it did 5 years ago or more. 92, way down. 92. Oh, I had it, and I didn't trust myself. A Shaun type question. There's a few of these in
Yes.
here.
I take offense to that.
92.
What
Would
is
you
it?
want to know the exact date and time you were going to die?
Hell no.
Hell no.
No, not in the least. Like, move on. No chance.
I don't even want to. I don't really want to think about.
It's bad
like, the
enough
idea
knowing
of it.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna die. Like I don't need to know exactly when.
Yeah, that would just be so anxiety inducing as it neared. And I'm talking within like a couple years, I'd start to be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure what a good answer to this would be. Like, I guess if I was in like my 70s or so, I would assume that's about the right range. But if it comes back and it's like 2160, I'm going to be like, what the hell? What happened to medical advances? And if it comes back and it's tomorrow, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? So I don't really think there's a good outcome no matter what it is.
See,
Oh.
but this is bullshit because again, like if you knew when you were gonna die, then like okay.
So okay, but by that logic,
Oh.
I'll dive into this. Does that mean I can act recklessly and I have no risk of dying sooner?
Yeah.
That's
Can I
part of the
drive
question.
200 miles an hour down the freeway like a jackass?
Oh yeah. You can do anything.
And it doesn't. And I could swerve through traffic, and I'm
You
not
shoot
going
yourself
to
in the
get
head.
killed.
I saw an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. one time where they're like, to prove that this time travel thing is working, like, whatever. Same idea. She, like, literally takes a gun, a revolver, and is like, click, click, click. It just, like, keeps jamming. Because, like, she can't die until they hit this threshold.
What episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was that?
It was pretty far in.
This strangely ties into the do you believe in God thing, because if this exists, it's like, well, something is controlling fate here, because clearly.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah, you could assume it's like the Sleeping Beauty example where they're like, all right, we're just going to keep her away
Yeah.
from this goddamn spindle no matter what it takes. And it's like, yeah, you tried your best and it still ended up happening.
Well, then in movies, they know when they're going to die. So, like, I need to spend my entire life avoiding this situation. And then, like, that's, you know, of course it kills them. But we would be aware of
That's
that.
basically
we know that
Final
that's
Destination.
Yeah, we know that that's a thing. So, you know, yeah, just go live your, be crazy. And then when it comes to the time, like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but today's my last day. So, whatever. I'm going to do whatever I was normally going to do.
The mind fuck of knowing the exact date and time, but not how, is even worse, I think. Like, you're coming up on it. You're like, oh boy, date and time. It says I'm going to die in 10 minutes. I'm just sitting at my computer. What the hell?
Yeah.
And a plane comes and crashes on top of your house or something.
A giant rocket comes and hits you.
Yeah, I don't like that. If anything, I'd rather be doing something cool. I'd be like, well, I was supposed to die, but I am skateboarding, and I'm going to get hit by a car or something probably, so that makes sense. But no, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, what would suck is if you get hit by a car and you're not scheduled to die for like another 40 minutes, and you're just lying in the road. I'm really hurting.
Yeah.
I'm alive, but I need help.
Anybody? Ambulance? And no one ever comes. Number 7. What's more important in a relationship? Physical attraction or emotional connection?
I mean, there's one right answer. It's short-term physical attraction, long-term emotional. I mean,
I wouldn't even say that. I would say emotional is the only answer.
I'm talking really short-term.
Yeah, and we're talking being very honest, because I think they've done studies and shit that are like, about 90% of what initially gets you with somebody is looks.
Sure.
And then from there, you single out people further by deciding what's your interest, what do you have in common, how do you match?
And
I was going to say,
there are studies that say how important physical attraction is in a relationship. It would, even if you don't, other people may not find your spouse physically attractive or your partner physically attractive. It doesn't matter. As long as you do, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one is a relationship and the other's fuck buddies. And physical attraction for a bunch of fuck buddies, probably pretty important. For an actual meaningful relationship, there's only one that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's always saying relationship and not marriage. In marriage, I would say emotional connection is more important, because that's a long-term thing. At that point, you've already kind of gotten past the initial physical attraction. But some relationships don't have that kind of shelf life. Some of them are meant to be quick hitters or one and dones or whatever. So, I mean, I think it's still emotional, but I think it's pretty close.
I'm on board with Dave. Exactly how he said it.
Oh, well, Shaun's not going to
But that doesn't make good radio.
I'm sorry. I agree with him. I don't want to agree with him either.
Turn off Cody's camera.
I don't want to agree with him.
A quick interjection. How have we not done a segment before that's basically part in the interruption where we talking about a certain opinion and you're the moderator and you just mute our mic when...
That's around the horn. You got the wrong show.
Whatever.
You don't watch ESPN, do you?
All ESPN is the same 3 opinions just circulated throughout the day anyway. So.
Different people saying them.
Chris would be a good Tony Reality, though.
We really should do that.
He does seem like a pretty damn good human being.
Can you put a point counter up under us so you're actually
that would
scoring
be hard,
who wins the show?
I can do these because these are just another windows and I'm moving through them in a way, but manipulating these things in OBS
should I just hold
a
whiteboard and then just give myself points?
Yeah, we can do that.
We could be a thing.
We
We
can
can put our whiteboard in the background behind us.
All right, we're gonna do one more unless it sucks.
Okay.
2. I can't scroll to 2. I didn't put enough lines at the top of this document, so we're going to skip 2.
2 was probably a great question.
We'll find out.
People may have noticed as I've been scrolling, but I can only go as high as 4, so I didn't put enough carriage returns in there. Sure, we'll stick to the relationship theme unless we want to veto it. We can veto it and do one more as the end instead.
Well, I'm fine with this. It's just easy for me, I think. So maybe we do
39. Is it possible for guys and girls to be just friends?
Yes.
100% yes.
Yeah. I would say when you're younger and not in a relationship, it was more difficult. When I was in high school, I feel like it was more difficult to be just friends because I didn't really understand the difference between the loves, I guess is the way to say it, like a platonic versus a romantic. And so when I was younger, I was like, oh, hey, I get along with this girl. Clearly we should date. And that wasn't true. I didn't understand that when I was 16. But as I got older, clearly I understood you can enjoy spending time with a person and have no romantic feelings with them whatsoever. So,
I mean, I think it's possible, but I think it's far less frequent than most people realize.
Here's what I would say: it's probably less frequent if you are taking the examples where it is mutually, completely just friends. I think a lot of the time one person is into the other, but the other is just oh yeah, this person's my friend. They might not even ever know that the other person was into them. I think it's pretty possible though. And even just friends completely both sides, I think it's pretty common. I think of all my coworkers.
Yeah.
They all suck. Just kidding. They're nice people.
I can think of a friend of mine that's a girl that I've been friends with since high school. We've never once dated. We've never anything along the lines even close to dating. Like we've never even had any sort of romantic feelings for one another. It just had never happened. So it is possible. It is difficult, like I said, like Chris said, because or like Shaun said too. Like there is a chance that one likes the other and the other doesn't, and the other just handles it. But it is possible.
Because the other scenario, Cody, because you've been so talkative, and I need to cut you off to get like, can I speak, please? Where there are feelings and then there's not. Like that's a thing too. And to me, that still counts. Just because you once had feelings, if it's dissipated, that's still just friends.
Yeah, I mean that's like to Dave's point though of like I think it's a lot easier when you're older because I think two of my closest friends like in the world are girls, but I met them when I was like 22. And so it's a big difference from meeting them when you're like 13 or 14 and I don't know, you're a horny teenager and
Yeah.
everything. I think is so that's what I would say I think to that. It's for sure a lot easier the later you meet them, or I guess to your point, Shaun, like if you've gotten rid of those feelings and you've grown out of them and grew up, then it's way easier. So but yeah, I think it can be probably a little tougher when you're in middle school and high school and everyone's, desperate for what they're desperate for.
I think I was different when I was like 13, as now a dog enters the fray.
We're just friends.
When I was like 13, maybe it was like a low self-esteem thing or something, but I was always I was clueless to any signs that a girl was into me then. All my friendships then were platonic because I'm just like, oh, everybody's kind of fun and cool to hang out with. The guy or girl doesn't matter. And there was definitely a couple of girls back then that ended up telling me later on, like, yeah, I was kind of into you, but you didn't really like reciprocate. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I had a few of those too in high school. I'm like, oh, that was stupid.
Mm-hmm. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, Jesus, yeah, the signs were all there. Oh, no. But at the time, you're like, ha, 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 this is great. So I don't know. I think it goes in phases. And like you said, at this age, I think it's a lot easier than it was in the late teens, early 20s, because that's just a disaster.
The girl of my the second girl.
The Disneyland girl?
The second girl of my dreams, clearly.
No, still not her.
In high school, we talked like after graduation at one point, and it was the same thing of like, I was like, hey, just funny story. I actually had like a huge thing for you, and she was like, yeah, like my parents were like, why aren't you guys dating? I was like, I was expecting it constantly, but like you never did anything. I was like, I'm gonna go kill myself now, thank you.
I had a similar one where I was gonna ask a girl to a dance, and it probably would have started a nice relationship, but she had just broken up with some other guy. So I'm like, I'll be nice, I'll wait a little bit, and then someone else asked her, and oops.
And it's a common part of the human experience, right? We've all probably dated somebody we shouldn't have, and we've all missed out on a dating situation that we should have taken advantage of, but didn't for one reason or another. And it's all part of the path, I guess.
It's good. It's what like brings us here. Maybe if I had asked her out, I'd be miserable. I'd have like 6 kids. They'd all suck. I get to be happy now.
With no kids?
Yeah, I mean,
is that your primary form of happiness?
Part of it.
That's not a pot shot at you, Dave. You can have kids if you want.
Too late.
It just makes you miss shows.
Dave's like, wait, it turns out I don't want kids. I just opened Dave's eyes to like what he actually wants.
He's like, I gotta go, guys.
Midlife crisis. He books a plane to Vegas.
Well, that's an interesting ending of the episode, I suppose. But thank you for joining, Cody. When Dave is gone in the future, and it's gonna happen again, we'll see about adding you instead. Maybe you'll become a full-time replacement. Who knows?
Not because of kids.
I mean,
we don't know that. For
well,
sure.
Cody, you can come back for the pardon your interruption segment.
Grandkids.
Yes, exactly.
We're going to keep points on the screen.
The
Chris
idea
is going to mute the mic. It's perfect.
Shaun's going to get pissed off when he doesn't have the most points. And
I'm going to be mad when I'm making a great point and I get muted.
There's going to be some frustrations. That's going to be on me to try and
until you yell loud enough to where the other mics just pick it up anyway. I won't do that.
I will respect this segment.
I don't believe that's
the
true.
sanctity of the show.
I could get up and go to Chris's mic. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to respect this segment.
We'll see.
Alrighty, well, that's the end of this episode. In between shows, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com, or at youtube.com/objectionnetwork for new videos 7 days a week. We'll see you next time.